A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Luyolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I'm joined by a very special guest. He is a legend of the game and one of the greatest players within the PSL era. And he goes by the name of Daine Klate. Daine, how are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Fine, thanks. And you, sir?
Very well, thank you, man. I should say good afternoon to the viewers.
Yeah. No, thank you very much for taking time out to have the conversation. I'm looking forward to this conversation, especially considering that you're a six-time league title champion. You've won every trophy on offer in South African football multiple times. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation and getting to learn about your experiences during your career as well.
No, awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a lot to discover. Hopefully we have enough time.
Yeah, no, there's definitely enough time here, no rush. And we'll definitely get into it. So when you look at the world of football currently in the modern day, what we see then from wingers is that wingers are becoming inverted. The left-footed players are playing on the right-footed players are playing on the left. Everything is becoming compact. But in your playing days, this is what you specialized in. So I just want you to take us through your role in your playing days when you played within this left-wide channel and what made you such an effective wing player.
Yeah, I think, to start off when I was at School of Excellence in the development and also growing up playing football, I was never a winger.
Yeah.
I was more of in my grassroots years, I was a striker, so I'd score a lot of goals all the time.
Yeah.
And then you mature a little bit and you watch the game a little bit and you become a little bit of a number 10.
Yeah.
Because of the creativity and the position and you're able to roam around. So I ended up learning a lot of things from a young age through the development phases. But in the School of Excellence it was nice because we played a 4-3-3. So
yeah.
I'll take you through the midfielders. So where I grew up, where I developed mostly was when we played like this at the School of Excellence and I was then the left-sided player.
Yeah.
But I would make runs into the channel and cross the balls over there and be able to link up player and play short balls and, play diagonal balls into that spaces there for the right winger. So I became a player that basically knew what a winger supposed to do. And because I would link up with the winger and I'd link up with the striker purely because I played in that position, I played in this position. And I ended up playing in that position. So on any given day, I could play in any three positions, even on the right-hand side, like you're calling it inversion now. It became a part of my game as well. You go to training, you do extra work, and you try and cover the positions that you link up with, basically.
Yeah.
So it gave me a better understanding. So by the time I reached PSL, when I got to Supersport's Academy, actually, they obviously saw I could cross the ball well. My technical ability was really, really good. I could play a diagonal ball from this side of the field over there to that side of the field.
Yeah.
Purely because of all the training and all the time I spent on the ball from a very, very young age.
Yeah.
But then I met Coach Pitso and obviously he likened a formation that would use 1v1 situations on the side. And then I flourished in that position by working hard at it. I would do extra training. Every day at training, I would stay after training, 20 balls, just cross it into good areas. Sometimes with other players, sometimes I'd be alone. Whoever would want to join would come and join in. And I've taken that throughout my career. At Supersport, when I moved to Pirates, when I moved to Wits, even when I moved to Chippa at the end, I would be in the field 1 o'clock doing free kicks. Everybody is still just arriving. Purely because I knew what my job was and I knew how to almost sort of try and perfect it. So the more time I would spend on the field and I made the left wing position my own at Supersport and at Orlando Pirates at some stage as well.
Yeah. So I want us to go back to where it all started. Growing up in PE, what was that like with the dreams and aspirations of becoming a professional footballer?
I don't think I dreamed that big from a very, very early age. But I think I spent a lot of time playing in the street, whether it be soccer, whether it be cricket, whether it be rugby, whether it be tennis, depending on what was playing. It was Wimbledon, it was tennis in the street.
Yeah.
You know, it was Cricket World Cup, we play cricket.
Yeah.
You know, if it was Soccer World Cup, we play soccer. If it was Rugby World Cup, we play rugby.
Yeah.
You know, so that diverse type of sports gives you a little bit of an edge that you spend in your in the early years. You know, that's why I think I've got a passion for that.
Yeah.
Grassroots football, especially. You know, any player that wants to be successful has got to take care of the grassroots at the beginning.
Yeah.
It becomes very important. I spend a lot of time in the streets with different balls and different kind of bats in my hands. So
Yeah.
the hand and eye coordination would come from that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think probably there's a lack of that in this day and age. You know, but yeah, that's basically how I grew up. Played for a football club called Glenville Celtic. They're actually celebrating their 50th year this year. So they've been around for a very, very long time. Myself and Rio van Heerden, who ended up representing Bafana and Blackburn Rovers as well in the English Premiership. We basically grew up together, went to the same schools, played together, fed with each other, and till this day we're still good friends. So that's basically the upbringing.
Yeah. So at which point then does the opportunity to join the School of Excellence come? And what was it like then having to move from home at such an early age?
Yeah, I was 14, 1999 the call came through, and in the year 2000 I joined the School of Excellence. So there was trials. The late Coach Mandela Mazibuko, may his soul rest in peace. I think he's played an important part in my career. He was like a mentor to me at School of Excellence. Himself and Coach Kevin Johnson came down to PE. It was a windy Saturday morning. I think we had a league match. I got the call to say that I must come for the trials in the School of Excellence because the coaches is there.
Yeah.
So I ended up skipping the league match against my will, but you know, something just said I need to go there because Coach Boobie has spoken. Because Boobie Williams is one of my coaches that worked with me from a very, very young age. Ended up in the national team with him under 17, under 20 with the national team. So having worked with him at that age, he advised me to come to the trials, and when the opportunity came for me to go to the School of Excellence, and I obviously went.
Yeah.
You know, I impressed at the trial, so the call came through, and I ended up joining in 2000. Spent 3 years at the School of Excellence.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was very, very tough. The first year was just about adjustment, different cultures, different languages. You know, sometimes cry yourself to sleep because you miss home.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a granny's boy, so you know, going through that sacrifice taught me a lot. I think later on in my career I actually realized it, but for the most part I think the 3 years, the second year at the School of Excellence, the football went up a notch.
Yeah.
In the third year as well, we started traveling a lot. You know, going to the Mill Cup in Northern Ireland, scouts seeing us over there. Some of our School of Excellence players got signed for Westerlo. Actually, Chelsea signed him initially. You know, there was interest from Coventry City for myself and the late Boyman Masia as well, and Jeffrey Ntuka, the late Jeffrey Ntuka as well. So they all managed to go from that trip, and then we went to USA, and you know, that's when I got into the National Under 20 preliminary squad. I'm talking about, I was 16 at the time. It was 2001. I remember vividly. Coach Steve Compella was the coach of our Under 20 national team, and I would play. I would be in the preliminary squad with Tsovi Lakazi, Joseph Makanya, Sean Potgieter, all those household names that was already established in the PSL.
Yeah.
You know, and that just fast-tracked my development as well, being in that environment, maybe not being the best at that particular time at that young age, but I think that pushed me a lot, you know, and obviously on the 17 national team in 2001. When we went to Portugal, we played against Ronaldo actually in 2001. South Africa under 17 versus, and we lost 2-1 in that match. We played Sweden and Denmark as well because it was a 4-team tournament.
Yeah.
So from a very, very young age, I was able to travel to Europe in 2001 and have obviously experienced the level from a very, very young age, which was good for my development.
Yeah. So when you look at your time at the School of Excellence, what was that like, and what made you guys so good? Because when you look at School of Excellence players, it's always players with great technical ability, great game intelligence, and their understanding of the game is streets ahead of their peers throughout the country. What made you guys so good?
I think living in a boarding school, everything was about football.
Yeah.
So Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'd go to school. School starts 7:15 in the morning. Breakfast, the kitchen closes at 7 o'clock. School starts 7:15. and then you have to be in class until 10 o'clock on a Tuesday and Thursday. 10 o'clock the bell rings. You head up to your room, you change, you get into your training kit and a ball, and you do for 1 hour non-stop. You do just passing, just technical work. Two players per ball.
Yeah.
Each one has a ball, obviously, but we use one ball between two players. And we end up giving short passes, long passes, outside parts of the foot, just an hour non-stop. There's no session, no structured session. Literally, just for an hour, you'd pass a ball. That's a Tuesday and a Thursday, and then obviously training on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as well. So basically you train 5 times a week, and 5 sessions. You'll have 7 sessions out of 5 days every week. For a whole year. So just imagine the level of confidence in your technical ability, how it improves.
Yeah.
Because the more time you spend with the ball, obviously the better you become, and that's just the difference. Is the fact that we have a facility like that. It's still there. Breaks my heart to see the state of it at the moment. But I think if we have something like that, if we look after it properly, we give the players to stay there, players get fed there, players go to school there. That's an ideal situation, environment for any development structure. And that was just the difference. I think if we invest a little more in that, I think the reproduction of quality players will be even more.
Yeah. And which are some of the players that stood out for you at the school during your time?
I think when I got to the school, I got to know a lot of players that used to come from the school. So it was Steven Pienaar was the first one, because Ajax, the year I got there, he was flourishing at Ajax Cape Town. Dylan Chippa was at the school. Sean Potgieter was at Ajax Cape Town. There were so many players that would Ninja Mofokeng went to Ajax Amsterdam. So I think there was a lot of names there at the school, and when I got to the school, there's 4 different teams. So it's the Bulls, the Cheetahs, the Dragons, and the Dream Team. So everybody obviously wants to play for the Dream Team. Eventually, that's the senior team.
Yeah.
So if the way I admired how those guys played the game by their age, was very, very good for me. And by my second year at the school, I ended up actually graduating straight past the Dragons, straight into the Dream Team.
Yeah.
And went to the Bale with the team, and played against Ajax Cape Town, against Monique Josephs and them. So again, I think, from a young age, we were exposed to high level football, and we were able to compete at that level from a very, very young age by being taught the right things. The type of coaching we got from Coach Mandela, Coach Sam Bata. I know Coach James is still there at the School of Excellence today. At one stage, I think my last year, I think Coach Dan's also came to the School of Excellence. But by then, I was into graduation already. So I think the type of coaches the school had was coaches that was ready to serve the game, and I think I've probably inherited a lot of that. Hence my passion for grassroots football.
Yeah. So when you look at the School of Excellence, like you mentioned, there's the Dream Team, but after that they don't have a professional team. I just want you to take me through how difficult it can be emotionally and psychologically if you're coming towards graduation and you're seeing maybe other guys are going off to professional teams, but maybe you don't have the same level of interest from other professional teams. How tough can that be for a youngster?
I think it's tough, I think it's extremely tough, but I think also the school teaches you that not everybody's going to make it in football. There's a select few, and if you really want to make it as an individual, you'll give you everything, and just hope that your time comes.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be, by the time I was in matric, Supersport United was already showed interest in me. Jomo Cosmos was interested. I think to a certain degree, Orlando Pirates was interested as well in having me overstayed from the School of Excellence. But I think with my experience of seeing how these type of things worked, I thought that Supersport definitely was the better option for me.
Yeah.
Purely because Begin Kambula went to Supersport at the time. Montgomery Matobi went to Supersport. Brandon Waddle went to Supersport. And those are guys that when I got to School of Excellence, they were graduating. And to see them obviously going on and playing professional football, being in the first team. Sipho Noonans was another one that I played with in my second year at the school. And he kind of ended up signing for Sundowns. And that season he had with Sundowns, it was sensational at the age he was at. So I think having seen that as well, it inspires you a lot. Obviously his career didn't go that way, but seeing those type of things and obviously being ready. But like you're saying, I think for a lot of players, it's psychologically it's a blow when they don't get signed. But a lot of players went on to study and have degrees in different jobs as well. A lot of players in jail. A lot of players,
The cycle of life.
It's a cycle of life.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're going to be 80 to 100 boys at the School of Excellence every year, the turnovers, not everybody's going to make it in life. You just got to try and take responsibility for yourself and make the most of it.
Yeah. So you get to Supersport United. What were the first few months like with regards to now having to adjust to this new environment and being, of course, with much better players, much more experienced players? What was that like?
I think Coach Chippa played an important role in that. Himself and Coach Pitso, obviously, and Coach Tommy Marigage was there at the time. And obviously they gave me a sense of belonging. I was young, so I would train a lot with the first team. I'd play for the under-19s, staying in Auckland Park at the Village of Dreams. And I would travel to training with Coach Chippa in the mornings, to the first team, just to they incorporated me well into the first team, I must say. And then eventually when I joined the first team, my first session pre-season, I vomited because of the level of training and what you must eat and what you must put into your body. So I learned the harsh reality of becoming a professional player. But it was a good lesson to learn. It was embarrassing to vomit your first session, and throwing up and physical training everybody, kind of welcoming you to professional football. But I immediately realized that, geez, man, I'm gonna have to work extremely hard here if I'm gonna get to that level. And I adopted that mentality, and the extra work and everything just helped me a lot. It helped a lot with having experienced players, Peter Gobani, Molefi Nsulengi, we had Grant Johnson, Calvin Marlin, Temba Mguni, Gaetano Tembo. So as a young boy, being in the same change room as those gentlemen, obviously having massive respect for them and them helping me in becoming the player that I became. It was important for me. I used to polish their boots, when I wasn't playing at the beginning. So it was difficult. It was a difficult transition, but with hard work and dedication, I think, I managed, and the backing, obviously, of Coach Pitso believing in me and my ability and giving me an opportunity and teaching me the ways of being a professional player. He himself having been a professional player, So I was in the right spaces and learning the right things from the right people.
Yeah, and what was that period like working with Coach Pitso Msimang?
I think sometimes it got a bit intense. He's very into it, So you become a little bit fearful, Umdala. If you can say that. You don't want to step out of line. He was very strict on discipline, where you're living, what you're doing, what you're eating, who's your friends, who you keep company with, and are you watching football when it's time to watch football on TV, So he tried to instill that from a very, very young age, and obviously you end up taking that habits with you all the way throughout your career, and hence the success because of people like him, what they've instilled in me. As a human being, not only as a soccer player. Yeah,
and then when that change happens to the technical team, and Coach Gavin Hunt comes along, what was that period like, and what was your response as a team to that change?
It was, at the beginning, it was extremely tough. We thought this is not the right thing. This is not the right guy to come coach Supersport. It was 5 games in. We were 2 points. We had 2 points from 5 matches, dead last on the log. I remember vividly, it was an international break. We went on a team building camp. It took us out to Pretoria. We had no clue where we're going. We thought it's normal. We're gonna go paintball shooting and it's gonna be fun and team building. Meanwhile, we got there. We went into the bush and we had to carry, I think it was like 20 kg logs between 2 of us. But for a distance, like I can't remember the distance. We would walk for kilometers with that logs. Nobody said to us where these logs are going to. So we just carried on. But eventually we walked far enough and we were like, guys, we're a team. Gee whiz, let's throw these things down and let's start walking back. Because where we're going, we can't just keep walking and no one says anything. As a team, we decided as a team and as a collective that we're going to drop the logs and we're going to now walk back. For another, we probably walk for like 10 kilometers, to be honest with you. And I don't know where, on a gravel road. So eventually when we got back, we got a bit of a roughen up by the people that's organizing it, like guys are supposed to just walk and etc. 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 And it's like, no, we decided as a team that this is what we're gonna do and this is the direction we're gonna go in as a collective.
Yeah.
And that camp ended up, we had to sleep in the bush that night. It was a grueling camp. But after that camp, we were 16 games unbeaten and vying for the league all of a sudden. From the first 5 matches to by the time we got to game 21, we were 16 games unbeaten, and we were now right there on top, competing with Ajax Cape Town for the title.
Yeah, and what was that time like? Because now you are now becoming a regular and becoming a key player under Gavin Hunt. What was that like?
I think it was good. It was difficult at times as well. There was a time I wanted to leave the team. Because Teko Modise left, Katlego Masego left, Pagata left, and they went to the big teams. They went to like Pirates and Sundowns. So you end up trying to see yourself also on that level, playing for those teams. Irrespective if you're winning this side. I think as a player, your ambition is always to form part of those type of teams. So there was a little bit of tension in the second season with myself and Coach Gavin Hunt, but I think that made our relationship solid. Everything was completed with Pirates. Signed the deal. I haven't signed the deal, but everything was agreed upon with Pirates, and I'm leaving Supersport.
Yeah.
But Supersport pulled the plug in the last minutes, and they said to me, if I give them one more season, then I can move to any team of my choice. And I was like, okay. I eventually made peace with it. I spoke to Gavin about it. We kind of had a little bit of a tiff leading up to that, but afterwards, he made it clear to me that he wants me to stay, and he wants us to compete for the league for the third time.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously key to his plans, and if I'm willing to stay, we can work together and we'll have a good season again.
Yeah.
I ended up being the player of the season that season, so grateful to the club, for pulling the plug last minute, and obviously to Coach Gavin Hunt as well. Those fighting when it happened that time, there's no understanding of it, but later on in life you realize that actually made the third season special for me because I became the player of the season.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for them persuading me to stay over for another season, then maybe I wouldn't have been the player that I became at Pirates, and I ended up earning way more at Pirates than I was gonna a season ago, because all of a sudden now everything went up a notch for me.
Yeah.
It was a great 3-year journey with Coach Gavin. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
We built a good relationship. And obviously eventually when I left Pirates, I went to Wits to join him again.
Yeah.
Win another league title.
Yeah. So when you look at your time at Supersport, which league title was the most difficult to win from the 3? Is it the first one? Is it the second one? Or is it the third one?
I think it's the first one. Without the first one, there won't be a second one.
Yeah.
So I think the first one was the most difficult one. Also bearing in mind that the last day of the season, we lost against Wimbledon Celtic, and all Ajax had to do was win their match, but they ended up drawing the match and we were 2 points ahead of them, or 1 point ahead of them, something like that. But our goal difference was superior to them.
Yeah.
So we ended up bottling that game in Bloemfontein against Celtic, and Ajax ended up drawing against Arrows in Durban. So we actually won the league because Ajax failed to beat Arrows that day.
Yeah.
But if something is meant to be, it's meant to be. There was a little bit bittersweet on the day because of the way we've won it. But I think for anybody's first league title, all that other thoughts goes out of the way. It's about what you did throughout the season and ending with the most goals and same amount of points as Ajax. It's a small margin, but I think we deserved it in the end.
Yeah. And going into the second season then, what was key to ensure that you guys could defend your title?
I think what was key the second season was Coach Gavin and Supersport management did fantastic. I think the type of players they brought in to come help us win the second league. They enhanced the squad. Brent Carlson came in, David Kannemeyer came in, Glenn Salmon came in. So all of a sudden we building from what we had the season before that. We had Slomko Kana there, we had Marubanye in the midfield there. So we had fantastic players. Shane Pogonpo was there, Ricardo Katsa was there, Morgan Gold, Bongani Kumalu. So I think there was a fantastic blend of youth and experience that worked very, very well and as a collective.
Yeah.
So I think the additions to the team was fantastic the second season and the third season as well.
Yeah.
That's how they built it. And obviously after the third season, I ended up leaving. Kaka was gone, Teko Modise was gone, Maseko was gone. Elias Pelembe has since left into Sundowns as well. So we all became scattered within the leagues, so our team got a little bit of dismantled there. But for the most part, I think we enjoyed the three years of success. Of winning the league title 3 times in a row. But the first one is definitely, I think that's a special one.
Yeah, and looking at that team for the 3 years, which are some of the players that stand out for you that you played with at Supersport?
Wow, there's so many of them. Pelembe springs to mind immediately. Shane Pochenpoel at midfield, Brent Carr also. I think we had fantastic a squad of players. It was so fantastic for us at Supersport that we all just kind of Bongani Kumalu, Morgan Gold, Tsitsima, who are behind me at left back. I think we had really a good mix. We had Fikr Tefera at one stage. Glenn Salmon came in as a striker and enhanced us. So I think, if I can't pinpoint who was the best, but I do know that I played with a lot of quality. And that also enhanced my game.
Yeah, and how much did it mean to you to win the Player of the Season?
I think that I was more obsessed with the fact that from a young age I was in cup finals, and when the whole team wins, everybody gets a medal. So my mindset was just focused on winning trophies and contributing to the team. The individual accolades, obviously it's nice to get, and you see them at the end of the year when you won the league, and you'd like yourself to be up there amongst the awards as well. But I didn't go out there and plan for that, to be the player of the season. I really just wanted to improve my game, score more goals. Coach Gavin said to me, if you score 10 goals this season, we're going to win the league. And I ended up scoring 13 goals and we won the league that season. It was my best season, So I just tried to fulfill what was the targets that were set for me out for the season, and I fulfilled it, greater than I ever imagined, actually. So having said that, I think, that was definitely for me. It was an honor to win the award. I think not every player gets to be the player of the season out of all their peers in the PSL. So it was a bit special for me, and just showing me that I was on the right path, and it gave me confidence going to Pirates after that.
So when you walk into that Orlando Pirates dressing room, having left Supersport United, what are some of the things you noticed at first glance when you walk in? What were some of the differences?
Well, I saw obviously a different kind of environment that I need to adapt to. Those are the type of things that they prepare with the School of Excellence. So you're going to go out into the world and you're going to go out into your career as a soccer player, and you have to adapt to any environment that you put yourself into. And it was my decision to go to Orlando Pirates, so I think that played a lot of part in it. That I've got everything to prove to myself and nobody else. In being successful here at Orlando Pirates, it's a team that I supported growing up. So obviously, it's a little bit of extra, motivation for myself to do well with the team. You end up playing with your heart, which is what every player wants to do. So obviously going over there and experiencing a different environment. Andile Jali, Obamanisa came through at a particular time. I found Teko Modise, Katlego Masego, Monique Joseph was there. So I found household names over there that I kind of was in Bafana camp with and have played with before. So it made the transition a little easier, and you have guys like Happy Jale and Lucky Lachwati who I've played against all these years, and they're happy to have me there and they're welcoming me very well. And you have a coach like Ruud Krol being there for the third season. So, everything just made sense to go to Pirates at the time. They were competing for the league as well the season before that. So I think if I look back at it, I think, it was good for me to get into that environment quickly, and obviously I have people around me that wanted me to be in that environment, and we ended up winning the MTN8 first up.
And when you then look at that period, because you were part of the team that won the double treble, and I think at this point in your career, you must be realizing that you're a serial winner, because everywhere you go, you're winning trophies. What was it like being a part of that double treble winning squad, and what made you guys so special?
I think when we started the MTN8, the first trophy after 8 years, I remember vividly Moses Mabhida Stadium against Swallows in the final. We conceded a goal in 96 minutes. Swallows equalized and it was 1-1. And from my experience playing against Swallows, whenever Swallows thought they would come back into the match, I always knew that now it's time. Let's go again. You know, they think they're back in it. Let's not give up now. And I could see the game going into extra time. There was a little bit of uncertainty from the players, and here we go again. And they've been struggling to win a trophy. And I just went into the circle and I just encouraged everybody and said to them, guys, the game is not over. There's 30 minutes left. We're far better than the team we're playing against.
Yeah.
They're just lucky to be back into it. We would have loved to win this game 1-0, but unfortunately we're going to have to do it the difficult way, and let's go do it the difficult way.
Yeah.
You know, we ended up going to penalty shootout and we ended up winning it, you know, so I think that's when it all started. We then went to Chiefs and lost 3-0 in the Telkom knockout final, and then we went on to play to win the league and the Nedbank final as well. So then, like I said, the second season, from the first season to the second season, the difference again was the enhancement. Yeah, in comes Penny McCarthy, in comes Siambonga Sangweni. After winning a title and adding those type of players, you know, you ended up, you know, keeping the same or even going better. You know, by winning at one stage, we had all the trophies at Orlando Pirates, all 4 trophies. Was in Parktown. You know, at one stage during that period. So it was a period of a lot of success. You know, and I think I enjoyed it the most. You know, when I talk about the peak of my career, I think that was the peak of my career. So what better way than to win 7 trophies in 4.5 years at Pirates?
Sure. So you had mentioned that you were at the peak of your powers during your time at Orlando Pirates, even in the previous years with Supersport. How then do you feel about never having represented Bafana Bafana consistently and regularly and having become a key player for them?
Yeah, I think obviously it's disappointment when it comes to Bafana, but no regrets. I think that was out of my control. I think being the player of the season in 2010 and not getting into the World Cup squad, you know, the best player in the league, but not getting into the World Cup squad, that's basically, you know, what it was about for me. And those are things out of my control. There was no way I could be the player of the season and not represent my country at the World Cup. Fair enough to Shaba, he did fantastic, you know, but, you know, at least I could have been his understudy, or I could have been on the bench. We could have shared the position, you know, because every position needs 2 players, you know. So obviously, I think I could have fitted in there at some point. But be that as it may, not getting enough opportunities, and obviously people started saying that I'm not Bafana material, etc., and I beg to differ. You know, I don't think I was given enough opportunity to show my capabilities at that level. And but like I said, no regrets again, you know, because those are things that was completely out of my control. And I made peace with it, you know. And after that, I just went on and won a lot of trophies with Pirates and Wits, respectively.
Yeah. So when you mentioned Wits, and how did that come about? Because in the last 6 months of your Pirates contract, you went on loan to Supersport United, but then the Wits opportunity came about. What was that like? And having the opportunity to rejoin Gavin Hunt?
Yeah, obviously when I had to make a decision of when I left Pirates on loan to Supersport, initially the plan was to stay at Supersport, and obviously in my career at Supersport, so to speak, I would say. But we just couldn't agree on terms, you know, and then Wits just came in and gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse. You know, it was a no-brainer, the type of offer that I received from them, and obviously having an opportunity to work with Gavin Hunt again. You know, was very, very enticing, and obviously with Jose Ferreira also being there, having won the league titles with him at Supersport United as well. You know, I ended up joining them there, and, you know, like they say, the rest is history. I mean, winning 3 trophies in the 3 years that I spent with Bidvest, you know, showed me that I made the right decision.
So one of those trophies, with regards to the performance that stands out for me, is the final. The MTN8 final against Mamelodi Sundowns, where you guys beat them 3-0. I still think that is one of the best finals I've ever watched in my life. So preparing for that final, what was that week like, and what was the approach like with regards to ensuring that you guys could go on and beat Mamelodi Sundowns?
I think we were a good unit the second season. The first season was very, very disappointing, but I think there was a lot of learning curves. We came close to winning the league. We lost the league against Sundowns. Then the cups, we got knocked out by silly mistakes that we made, you know, and we ended up having to, the season when we started the new season, we just went firing on all cylinders. I think that match, the lead, there was a feel, there was a whole buzz about us. Our pre-season, where we had a good pre-season also, and just coming from the first round to the semi-finals to the final as well in the league as well. I think the way we did things at the club and the way the technical team handled everything, I think it gave us a good account of ourselves on the field of where the club is heading to and how we can compete. So basically, it just showed us that we can compete against the best. We can beat the best, and if we can do that, then we can obviously compete for the league title. We got to have a little bit more belief than we had the season before that. There was a lot of things to rectify, and I think that's the season we did, and that game set the tone 100%. And that was one of my best games, playing in my favorite position, like I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
I played this position.
Yeah.
Manare was over here, and I think
Lambo.
Lambo was here. So the three of us created this triangle, and then you had the left back, you had Slanty, you had Mango playing on the left hand side there. So there was always this. If you look at us, we had a lot of triangles.
Yeah.
And that game, it showed towards the end of the match as well. We would press Sundowns in triangles, and we would play when we have possession in triangles. So we created a lot of options for ourselves. Every player that was on the ball always had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was at any given time on that day when you received the ball, you had so many options to pass, and there were so many runs happening, and everybody just linked up well. Elazar just kept up the play for us, lovely at the top. We had a good relationship with him. I knew where to run when the ball was in the air, so the understanding became clear of the team, and obviously went on to win the league title as well. And I think the MTN game set the tone for that to happen.
Yeah, and when you look at that season, what stands out for you that season with regards to your teammates and how you guys went on then to win the league title?
I think what stood out was the team unity was fantastic. Whether you played or you didn't play, you were part of the team. The empty net bonus, everybody got off the bonus, the backroom staff, everybody, the players chipped in as well, and said, let's give an extra 1,000 rand each or whatever, and just give the backroom staff a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a successful season purely because everybody wanted to go in the right direction, and it was amazing to be involved in that again. After being 3 times with Supersport, twice with Pirates, 5 years in a row, and all of a sudden, I'm doing it again with Bidvest Wits. And that season really was a fantastic season for us. The best thing was us winning the league title, and obviously beating Sundowns the way we did.
Yeah,
I think it was special.
Yeah, and when you then look at Wits, and what happened a couple of years later with them getting sold, how difficult was that for you to witness?
I think it was shocking because you still see yourself as part of the game, and maybe eventually end up there again because of the type of environment that the club was, with the academy and with the first team and how they operate, the facilities they have. So you kind of see yourself. Dylan Chippa became a coach there in the academy, so you kind of see yourself maybe one day having an influence over there, with the up and coming talent.
Yeah.
So holistically it was shocking. I think built family over there, and for to abruptly just end like that was a bit sad. A club with so much rich history.
Yeah.
Being taken away from people just like that. I always said that it probably would have been more difficult for me if I was there still.
Yeah.
But by then I've retired. But obviously everything happens for a reason, and maybe there's a reason I retired when I did. For me not to go through that trauma.
Yeah. So you did retire at Chippa United. What was it like then, going to end your career where it all started?
Yeah, I always had that ambition as well. So when that opportunity eventually came, I took it. But throughout the season, I realized even more. Like I said, at Wits, I realized that the passion and the desire for training is dying a little bit. And having gone to Chippa then that season and seeing how everything goes, etc., then you end up losing the desire to play completely. So the game gives you signs.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think I took the signs, and I ended up not enjoying training anymore. That's when I said to myself, look, I think now it's time to go, because I used to enjoy training.
Yeah.
Training is what made me the player that I would become.
Yeah.
Now once that desire goes away, then it is probably time to call it, and I did. And obviously now ambitions of continue my coaching journey.
Yeah. So at that time then, what then inspires the decision to look towards coaching and eventually then go into coaching?
I was actually with Benny I think it was 2014 December. I was still at Pirates at the time.
Yeah.
And I saw Benny was busy with his UEFA badges. And I went through it with him, and I sat there and I'm like, okay, well, if this is how you're going to learn how to coach, this is the thing we do normally.
Yeah.
You know, this is like I understand it. And he was doing his UEFA badges at the time, and I ended up getting in contact with the Irish FA 2 years later, purely because of what I've experienced there with Benny, and I started connecting with him, and I got accepted into the course. And that's when I did my UEFA B, and immediately the season that season I retired. Actually, the off season I went to Ireland to complete my UEFA B and part 1 of A. And within the space of within that year, I ended up obtaining my UEFA B license, which made me a qualified coach even at youth level, or I can be an assistant coach in the BSL.
Yeah. So what was that like doing the courses?
I think for me it was an eye opener. I was curious when I went over. I've never been into a coaching course. I remember when Coach Chippa was doing the I think it was it a CAF level or something like that. And the Supersport place was used in Van der Bijl Park as part of the sessions. So when the instructor would demonstrate, we would be then used to do whatever drills that he needs to do.
Yeah.
We would then do that. And that's the last time I actually experienced a coaching, like a coaching course happening. But by then I was really, really young, and you don't think that far ahead. So when I got there and when I experienced everything, I realized that coaching is definitely something that I want to do because I enjoy learning it. Just like waking up every morning, going to training, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I'm enjoying this environment of, the kind of information that's out there and how they teach you to become a coach. And having played the game, you then have a better understanding of what the coach expects from you, and it enhances you as a human being. So you're able to teach then, having done it, I'm able to teach as well. So I think that for me was the most important thing, and that was an eye-opener for me to say, wow, if this is how the learning is going to take place, then I want this.
Yeah. And how then does the opportunity to become the DDC coach at Chippa United come about?
Yeah, so Coach Larson was the coach at Chippa when I retired, and he obviously knew that I'm going for the badges. And when I came back, he actually recommended me to take over the Disky. He spoke to the chairman, and he called me and said to me, do I want to take up that opportunity? There's a way he does things in conjunction with the Disky, so we ended up working well together. And I really enjoyed my time with him. I learned a lot from Coach Larson. I think he drove a little bit of passion inside of me to coach as well.
Yeah.
So obviously him giving me that opportunity to coach the Disky in conjunction with being in the mornings with him at training and learning from him while I'm doing my badges as well and need to submit work. And I'm in a good environment to do that, So I was in a very, very good environment to learn and submit my work, make mistakes during matches. But I had the luxury of having Coach Larson next to me who could call halftime and say, whichever TV game I see this. And sometimes Coach Larson would call and they would come and change them and say, Coach Larson says ABC, and I've already addressed that, which means our line of thinking or how we see the game then becomes a little bit similar. And that then says to me that I'm on the right path. Like experienced Coach Larson is realizing that our midfield and our defenders is not compact enough, but I've already addressed it by the time the message came into the change room. So that's when you realize that I'm capable of coaching. And obviously within 6 months, Coach Larson, within the first 6 months, he ended up leaving. It made the job a little bit difficult because a new coach came in and I don't have the same relationship, and that coach asked me to, so it basically transitioned, and I ended up isolating myself a little bit, and then obviously they let me go after 6 months of doing a project, of putting a team together, and I started feeling that, you know what, these boys are coming now, and they were last in the log this previous season, and then obviously Gavin Hunt came back and ended up going back to Chippa as a Disky coach and ending fourth. Again, when Gavin left, I wanted to leave, but he encouraged me to stay because I thought the same thing is going to happen. He's leaving. They're probably going to fire me now again in 6 months' time. The same cycle is going to happen. But he encouraged me to stay. Ended up staying, and the team was doing well. Ended up top 4. We ended up playing in the semi-finals of the Disky Shield. And ever since I left, the team has lost a lot of games this season. Sadly, sadly, I feel sad for the boys. But I think we did a fantastic job over there. And obviously when the first team job opportunity came after a few times declining it, but eventually going there into that dark hole and having to experience it wasn't a nice experience altogether, but I think I knew where I went into. learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I had to go into that environment and experience it, and it will be with me forever. I don't think it can get any worse going forward.
Yeah. So when you look at that opportunity to coach the first team, like you just mentioned that you declined it a few times. Why did you decline it? Was it because you knew the state with regards to how things are done at Chippa United and that coaches don't really last, or was it another reason?
Yeah, there was a lot of factors. I felt purely that I could still build and produce players for the first team. Like I said, my passion for working in the development side of things is very, very strong because of my development background as a player and how important it was to me.
Yeah.
So again, you also want to be on that level, and you want to test yourself. And I thought to myself, this is ideal. Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, your first coaching job. Take the job, even if it's just to beat Orlando Pirates and then get out of it again. Then it's fine for me. Then it's fine, but it's all part of the experience, like I'm saying,
Yeah.
What made me take it was also when I spoke to Coach Gavin, he encouraged me to take it and just get a foot in the door and experience it, and I can only learn from there.
Yeah.
Himself and Coach Pizza was also a very young age when they started their coaching journey. So, you have to go out there and after I got fired, everybody, Coach Gavin picked up the phone and says to me, "Listen, son, now you're a coach.
Now you're a coach."
You've been fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. The saying it says you haven't been a coach until you get fired. So,
yeah.
So that's just how it's been, and continuing learning. And I wanted to be in environments where I can learn a lot. Obviously, I worked with under 12s at Dubai FC, a football club. Me and my very close friend started. Having ambitions of obviously having that team in the PSL one day that belongs to PE. Hence the name Dubai FC.
Yeah.
So I think that's a long-term vision and long-term dream of mine while I navigate my life through coaching, and obviously wanting to have a club one day that's going to be well looked after. Maybe the opposite of Chippa.
Yeah.
I would say, so just to have a well-run club.
Yeah.
And I think the people of PE deserves that. And if I can have an influence on that, I would like to have an influence because I think that's the place of birth for me.
Yeah.
And I think that we have enough talent over there that we can nurture and obviously try and change lives of families.
Yeah.
That's the aim. It's always going to be the aim. My life changed, my family's life changed because of my career.
Yeah.
So obviously I would want the next person to kind of have that same route, and if I can advise and teach, then all the better.
Yeah. So you played 3 very big games. One against Supersport United, one against Mamelodi Sundowns, and one against Orlando Pirates. We'll start with the Supersport United one. Coming up against Coach Gavin Hunt, a man who's been so key, not just in your footballing career, but in your life as well. What was that like from an emotional and psychological perspective, especially considering that you've been a part of teams that he's built that have been so successful? So you know how he sets up, you know how he thinks in relation to the opposition. What was that like, especially then having to prepare for that game?
Yeah, I could have influence, especially when I was at Pirates moving away from Supersport. I could have influence on midfield battles, for example. We had Andy Lajali, Opamanis and the midfield, and we could dominate midfield, as long as we did that, and as long as when you come up against a team of Supersport's caliber, the aggression and the intensity they use, if you match that, we had a little bit more quality, probably going forward especially. So I think that in that regard you try to influence, and obviously the coach will come and speak to you, like Coach Ruud Krol would come and speak to me about it, and I would give him a few little pointers because by then I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Hence today probably I'm a coach because I could share information with coaches that was needed to enhance the team.
Yeah.
In any environment, in any club, even at the highest level, any player that has information on the team that he comes from and he joins another team, they're going to use that player. To kind of help prepare the team and obviously tell the team about the mentality of that team and what is expected on the other side from us. I was there for long, so I would know what would give us difficulties playing against other opposition. So I could then influence that, and maybe that's why I ended up having the success I did, because I could influence those type of things.
Yeah, and over the 90 minutes, that game ended 1-1. What was your overall take about that 90 minutes?
I think it was fair result at the end of the day, but coming up against him in my first job, the one that he probably had a role in getting me into that position.
Yeah.
You know, it's I think it's inspiring and it's enlightening, and to see before the game the joy on his face when before the game started. You know, when you go and say good luck and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it was just pure joy and happiness from his side, and it made me feel good about myself. So yeah, that was fantastic. And then obviously the game after that was Pirates. So my first 2 coaching gigs was against Supersport and Pirates. I don't know, maybe it was written in the stars.
Yeah, which you picked up 4 points.
Picked up 4 points, you know.
So yeah, I want to go into the Pirates game. So the blue team will represent Chippa United. So you're going to set up and tell me how you went into that game. I know that Orlando Pirates started with a 3-4-3. So that was Orlando Pirates. This is Chippa United, so you're the coach. So I want you to take me through it. What was the setup and what was the approach and the thinking behind the type of performance against Orlando Pirates?
Yeah, so I think we had a block. That's basically how we set. It was more of a 4-2-3-1, I would say. Yeah. More of a 4-2-3-1 formation. I think our striker got injured and I had to put Diego Paulus on. He's a youngster from the Disky team.
Yeah.
Put him on against Pirates, and he's not experienced. He doesn't have a lot of experience, but he's got huge capabilities. You know, in terms of being a number 9, is typical number 9. You know, a typical number 9. I think he holds the ball up and he's very good technically. He can dribble as well, so he can play with his back towards the goal and his back facing the goal. You know, so again, when he came in, I think. He got a couple of opportunities, and Pirates being the Pirates they're going to dominate position. We all know they're going to dominate position at their home. Yeah. The whole philosophy that we kind of had was just to be brave as we can. We had a brand new team, you know, 16 new signings in the second game of the league season, probably my 5th or 6th week at the club. You know, so we were still searching for team chemistry when we have possession, especially. Yeah. So the focus basically would be to keep shape, you know, to tuck inside and allow Pirates to play, not to play through us, and just to play to the outside of us. And once they go to the outside, we can then press. But anything in here, we need to be aggressive. We need to press the ball, and we need to come out as soon as we can and push up play. You know, so when the play moves up, let's push up and let's go into their half. Let's try and spend time on the ball and try and knock the ball around and receive the ball. But when you have a brand new team, it becomes difficult because the players are still learning about each other, and there's still team chemistry that needs to be built. You know, so that was the phase we were in, whilst we were looking for team chemistry. But already within 2 matches, if you have 4 points, it's a positive sign. Yeah. You know, and you just got to build. You just got to build on that. You know, but on the day, I think we did fantastic. You know, the longer you keep Pirates at 0-0, the more nervous the crowd gets. You know, I played there. I would know that. Playing against Chippa, no 80 minutes. People start realizing, damn it, are we going to draw this game? No. Yeah. You know, and the players become edgy because the atmosphere becomes edgy. Yeah. You know, and they're on the edge. And when we got the corner, I sat down and I said, this is our moment. Yeah. You know, and that moment happened, and I went into the change room afterwards. I said to Coach Bruce, we needed one moment against a team like that. And we got that moment. Cool. Because we're building confidence, we're building team chemistry. It's tough, you know, for the type of philosophy that I had at the Disky, where we do a high pressing game and we play in the opposition half the entire time, you know, because certain teams don't like to put the ball, they like to play through you. But if you press aggressively enough there, I could not with these players because they're not used to that philosophy, and it takes a lot of time. So I had to basically focus on the shape the entire time, and, you know, locking teams out and defending first, defending properly. You know, if we can defend properly, chances of us winning matches was going to come. And once we start winning matches, the confidence will start coming of playing the ball more, pressing up higher, etc., etc. So that was the philosophy. But 7 games will never ever be enough. Yeah, I don't think 7 games with Pep Guardiola will be enough to instill a philosophy and a way of doing things. Yeah. Whereas at the Disky, I had the 6 months to instill, and I found the same players there, so I could enhance. You know, and then we had a way of doing things in the Disky team. So we press teams up high, and we would make it difficult to come out, and we would score. We'll win the ball up higher, and we'll be quick enough to get out and score there. And so sometimes the teams like Pirates, Chiefs, Sundowns wouldn't get out of their halves. Yeah. With the way we press each other. You know, we competed with Stellenbosch, had won the league title. We drew 3-3 with him, the one match. You know, so I think, you know, if I look at it, you know, we had a way of doing things, but it took me a while to instill that. and the philosophy and the habits and everything, I would liken it to what Arteta is doing at Arsenal at the moment.
Yeah.
For season 1 it was difficult, season 2 it was difficult. People was calling for his head to go, but season 3 all of a sudden they're competing for the league title.
Yeah.
So everything is a process, and the philosophy, the mentality, and everything changes over time. And it's a pity that it didn't continue, because there was a big buzz and a hype in PE, and I could feel the anticipation from the people that the team is starting to look like they belong now. The support started coming because maybe I'm from there, my assistant coach Bruce is from there, the physical trainer is from there, and we had a good team, and we had good support from the city. But I think that got dismantled, and it's where they are now. It also makes me sad because I left a lot of people behind there, and hopefully they can get out of that relegation battle.
Yeah. So when you look at your time as your first head coaching role at Chippa United, and like I mentioned, you played against Pirates, played Supersport, you played Sundowns, and funny enough, they all sit number 1, 2, and 3 on the log. And you managed and you managed to get 4 points out of a possible 9 from that. What did you learn about yourself as a coach? What's the difference now between Daine Klate, the coach, and Daine Klate, the player?
I think I learned a lot, but I'm still not the end product, the finished product. I think if we come up against a team like Sundowns, the philosophy is never to sit back. Like I said, there's the same trying to build the chemistry with Supersport. We lost our striker early again.
Yeah.
Igadaro, and he's experienced. He's got 10 goals for Chippa. He's very experienced. He comes from Sundowns. And we lost him in the first 15 minutes, I think, of the match. We had to put the young Apollos in again. And when the first 15 minutes we could string passes together, because Igadaro was clever enough to hold up play and allow us to push up and allow us to start interpassing with each other and play the game.
Yeah.
When we lost him, we lost that cohesion of coming out from the back, and instead of us trying to come out and pushing up, and then obviously we ended up sitting back. That's what Sundowns, a team like Sundowns, they do to you, But being in that situation, I thought to myself, you know what, guys, we just need to be brave this match and start forcing Sundowns to the outside of us.
Yeah.
Sundowns don't like going to the outside; they like going to the inside, like coming through you and passing through you. If we compact enough, we squeeze them enough, and we force them out to the wide areas. Once we get into the wide areas, we go and press them aggressively. It could work. And for long periods it worked. They struggled to break us down. Obviously, the plan was not to sit back. I would never ever say to a team, I play the game, I would never ever want to just sit back. Unless it's protecting a lead for 10 minutes, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
But from the first half, it looked like we just came there to sit back, and that was never the philosophy. I obviously lost my assistant coach as well. So my influence within the team started diminishing. Where I would say A, the person that came in next to me would say B. And I wouldn't know what to do. I was a very, very young coach, but I think that match taught me a lot. It was experience, and I thought, I can use this going forward to show these boys that, even though we didn't win the game, but if you can defend like that bravely against a team like Sundowns, surely the rest of the PSL teams you can defend against. We kept a clean sheet against Pirates as well. So those are teams in the top half of the league. They're the top 3 teams basically.
Yeah.
Where I thought we performed on a good level with them. So it was obviously disappointing, the outcome and everything. But I think I'm a little bit better now when it comes to that and how to get out of that situation. And when you play Sundowns again, and you just learn a lot. I think I learned a lot. And if I go again, obviously it's going to have to be with who I have, what type of players personal I have, what type of technical team I have again, what the team philosophy is, and if it's a team that I feel that is capable of going toe to toe against Sundowns, that will be the tactic. But if I feel that Sundowns is a little bit more quality than us, then it's going to have to be us working harder than them to get the result from that game. I mean, I played for teams that would dominate matches, win league titles. So I come from that. So I have an understanding of how they operate. And when they scored the goal, we also played matches like that and also scored. I myself scored in the 95th minute. Of matches for Orlando Pirates. So I have an understanding of it. And maybe people that wasn't there and haven't experienced that don't really have the slightest understanding of a process.
Yeah. Okay. So now. We've got 2 segments. These are my favorite segments.
Okay.
One is called Top 5, in top 5, I want your top 5 coaches. And then the last segment is best 11. So best 11 will be the best 11 players you've played with. And in best 11, you can add yourself. I want a captain. I want a coach as well, and how you'd set up as well. But let's start with top 5 coaches. Who sits top 5 within your list of coaches?
I think if I go really down to development, I think Coach Mandla Mazibuko, Coach Kevin Johnson played a part in my career. Coach Bobby Williams played a part in my career. So I think the grassroots coaches for me had the most influence on shaping my mentality and shaping the way I play the game. So that's important, And then obviously, if I go professionally, to add another two, obviously because Peter and Coach Gavin, because I've had the most success with them.
Yeah.
And if I really look at, there's so many of them. Coach Kroll, I still admire him a lot. Coach Larson, that I got to work with at Chippa, I think I admire him a lot as well. So I think I have way more than 5. But if I have to break it down, I think the three grassroots coaches that I had, Coach Bobby, Coach Mandla Mazibuko, I have to mention Coach Sam as well, Coach Sam Mbata. They really shaped my career into going into the professional world. And then when a coach like Coach Pizzo took over with me being in his team, then it was, I won't say easy, but I could adapt because of what I was taught previously.
Yeah.
And then obviously Coach Gavin coming in and enhancing my career, and then obviously getting moved to Pirates from there. I think that's definitely my top 5.
Top 5, yeah. So when you look at Coach Pizzo and you look at Coach Gavin Hunt, in my opinion, 2 of the greatest South African coaches that we have. When you look at them, what was the difference with them with regards to when you were playing for the One?
I think every coach has a different philosophy.
Yeah.
I think people won't believe it, but I've got a different philosophy than Coach Gavin Hunt. Ultimately, that's something that it's inevitable. You look at Pep Guardiola and Michael Arteta; they probably on the similar path, but they're different in many ways. So learning the ways and obviously enhancing ways becomes important for me. But I think there's definitely difference between Coach Pizzo and Coach Hunt, and you get Coach Kroll. And like I'm saying, as a player, your mindset must always be to adapt.
Yeah.
So as a coach, I would expect a player to adapt to my way.
Yeah.
And that's something that I will portray. If I get into any environment, the first thing will be like, I'll get to know you, you'll get to know me.
Yeah.
Let's adapt to what we want to do, and as long as we come from a place of understanding, then I think success will be imminent going forward. So again, I think it's a stark difference between all the coaches that I've worked with.
Yeah. So let's move on then to the best 11. So I'll just move these pieces to the side. So you can have the blue pieces, and then
Okay.
Yeah. No pressure.
This is it's real difficult. I think if we go striker, I'll go Baby. I think that's an obvious case.
What stands out about him? Because you've spent
the influence he has on matches.
Yeah.
You could win matches for you. We played Swallows at Moses Mabhida and 2-2. No, we played Arrows that day at Moses Mabhida. 2-2 the score was. And he ended up scoring 2 goals in the second half because we needed to win that match to win the league.
Yeah.
And he ended up scoring the 2 winning goals, Well, he scored the winning goal and then the goal that really gave the league to us, where we could say, wow, we can even breathe now.
Yeah.
We didn't make it the 10th finish.
Yeah.
So that's the type of influence he had. I think his record speaks for himself. Champions League final, and where he is now also, speaks volumes about the type of person and mentality he has towards the game. He's a serial winner, and I won't hesitate to say to him, be there. I know one or two chances, definitely we're getting a goal or two. That's just the amount of trust that I had in him. On the right hand side, I'll have Ilis Palembe. I think I played my best football with him at Supersport. We had a fantastic relationship, me being on the left, him being on the right. Knowing when he goes down the line, I need to be in the box and I'll score. And when I go down the line, he needs to be in the box and we'll score again.
Yeah.
And obviously on the left-hand side, I'll have Dylan Chippa. I think he's a fantastic left-footed player. I admire the way he crosses the ball. From a very, very young age, I always admired him. So I would definitely put him in the team. He played with Bennett on the 23 level as well. and Bafana.
Yeah.
So no fluke, I don't think he gets enough credit for his career.
Yeah.
Even though he had a bad break of his leg as well. So massive respect for him. I got to manage to play with him at Wits, his final years. So obviously that for me was a little special. And then behind the striker, I'll have, without a shadow of a doubt, Villa. Sibusiso Vilakazi. I think he's a fantastic talent, very, very intelligent player. I think he's one of the best, in midfield. I'll have Shane Pogonpoel over there, and I'll have Slompo Kakana here. I think that combination at Supersport, the 3 league titles, was mostly the two of them doing damage in that midfield. Breaking down play and just being pure team players. I remember with Slompo one match, when I came back from injury, I was man of the match, but I thought that he was the man of the match, and I handed over the medal to him after the game in the change room. Not many people know that, but I felt that on that day, just because I scored the winning goal, I got the man of the match, and Slompo worked tirelessly in that game. I thought he deserved it, so without a shadow of a doubt, I'd have him in my team. And then obviously, I think Ricardo Katza, for me, was one of the centre backs growing up with him and his mentality. So I'll definitely have him in my team, and I'll have him as backup left back as well. Because he can fulfill both of those type of situations. Without a shadow of a doubt, Tsimaoa. He always had my back at Supersport. There was a lot of times when he said to me, "Unga bui, sala lap." So I must stay in front. So that him having my back at Supersport there allowed me the freedom to always roam in the areas that I enjoy being in. And we just had a fantastic relationship. And then obviously Bongani Kumalu stands out himself and Morgan Gold. Between the three, Katsa, Morgan Gold. I think the 3 of them, was fantastic centre backs from a young age, and I played with them for many years. Right back without a doubt, Epijele. I think playing against him all my life as well. The friends we became at Orlando Pirates and the relationship we had, I think he's one of the best right backs. So that basically, and obviously in goals, I have Munib Joseph.
Very strong 11. So who would captain this 11?
If I have to choose a captain for this 11, I think Ricardo Katza had the best leadership qualities for me. If I have to choose someone, very level-headed, can keep things together, can be aggressive when he needs to be, can communicate when he has to. So I think his leadership qualities, definitely, I still call him captain to this day. Because he was my captain at one point, and that's how I know him.
And the coach? Who would coach this team?
It's a difficult one. Between the players that I mentioned here all played under Gavin and Coach Pitso, if you really look at it. Benny at one stage played with Coach Gavin Hunt as well. So I think it's a tough one, but I think having won 4 league titles with Coach Gavin Hunt, I would probably, if I want to win another league title, I'd probably choose him to be the coach, but I would love for Coach Pitso to probably be the technical advisor.
Both of them.
I can't leave any of them out.
It's fine, we'll have both of them there. 1 and 2 will be here on the side.
Arguing about the tactics, I'd love to see that.
So, Daine, when you look at your fantastic career, what is the one thing that stands out for you?
I think the one thing is all the success that came was within team environment, and I was a team player all my life. I think that's the best moments when you are with these guys, the African Safari, losing against Al Ahly, losing Senzo along the way. So the journey for me is what stood out. Everything I went through, the places I've been to, I've seen the world. I got to see the world, through football, and I think I owe the game a lot. I don't ever think that the game owes me. Massive respect for the game and what I've achieved in the game. But it was the journey for me. The journey, if we go back and dissect, there's so many things I'm leaving out here. And so many things can come to my mind. I think I'll probably need, to be honest, I'll probably need a book this size. I'll probably write a book that size for my career. So that's probably the aim, if I have to get all the information and everything out there, it would probably be in a book or like a film series type of thing, just to share what it is and what is required to be a professional footballer. And obviously having a sustainable career, being a starting player right throughout. Then you end up, when you're sitting on the bench at Chippa, you end up, whoa. Chippa, boss. Time for you to call it.
I'm not used to this situation.
I'm not used to the situation.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah. Sitting on the bench fighting relegation and I'm still on the bench. Coming from winning titles, But that was all part of it.
Yeah.
And it's the signs you get, to say, you know what, Daine. I used to go play cricket weekends.
Yeah.
Fake an injury and play cricket when I was in Chippa my last season. I used to go and enjoy myself because I enjoyed doing that more.
Yeah. So when you then look at your coaching career, you're still very much at the beginning. What is that one thing that you'd like to achieve within your coaching career?
I think is enhancing players and letting them go on and have successful careers and changing their families' lives, like I say.
Yeah.
If I can do that, that's the reason why I'm coaching. I think I can influence that.
Yeah.
I've tried to influence it at Chippa, where when I left, I probably left 8-9 players on contracts. They just didn't have contracts.
Yeah.
And those are local boys. Those are local boys, and I know the circumstances at home. Sometimes they have to go and ask bus fare from the neighbours. I know where these boys come from, and I think that's probably the one thing that I want to keep with me is always coming from a place of understanding. So sometimes the player would come, fantastic player, and I would notice that something's not right, and I would say to coach, listen, what's the situation at home? Has your boy eaten today? He comes straight from school, only to find out the boy didn't have a meal for the day. Now, how is he expected? How is a car expected to drive without fuel?
Yeah.
So it's the same with the player. When you end up caring, you're coming from a caring place. So that's how I want to do this coaching journey, is coming from a caring place and enhancing not only players' lives but their families as well through the players.
Yeah. Daine, I'd like to thank you for coming through and spending some time with me and having a conversation and taking a trip down memory lane to discuss the great career that you've had. And going forward, I certainly wish you all the best with the goals and the dreams that you have. My own, selfish wish is to see you in the DStv Premiership next season. Because I feel like there's too much unfinished business, Yeah. But I'm definitely looking forward to your journey as a coach. We saw your journey as a player. Fantastic, and sometimes I think people don't realize how great of a career you had and how many trophies you won and how successful you are, like you mentioned that you're a consistent player in each and every year throughout. You're always starting. So for me, this was such a pleasure to have this conversation because you're one of the guys I've always looked up to growing up, wanting to become a professional footballer, not making it, but then, there's other ways in which you can get involved in football. So this interview and this conversation really, really means a lot to me, and going forward, I really do wish you all the best. So thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. I think it's appreciated. I think maybe in 10 years from now, if I'm also successful as a coach, hopefully, Godspeed. We can come back to this conversation and maybe my kind of outlook on the game will be a lot different.
It will be different.
Than it is now, but that's just going to be that's how our career is. It always evolves. So thank you very much for having me. It's fun chatting to you.
Thank you very much, Daine. So that was yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Liolo. Thank you very much for tuning in. Signing out.